My prediction is that Trump's support for ICHRAs, which I'll explain what those are, may actually strengthen the Obamacare exchanges that he previously tried to eliminate. This is a bit of a wonky public policy prediction, but it has big impact for our healthcare industry. What are ICHRAs? ICHRAs are defined as individual coverage healthcare reimbursement arrangements. That's what the acronym stands for. They're actually first created under the first Trump administration. And essentially what they do is allow employers to provide tax-free dollars to employees for individual health insurance purchase. So instead of providing a group health plan like Bessemer provides all of us health care provided by and paid for by Bessemer, instead they would give Andrew, Sophia, and Morgan a lump sum of money, whatever that is, and myself, and they allow us each individually to go out and buy health insurance that fits our needs and the costs that we want to spend on that. And my prediction here is that actually a lot of these ICHRAs are going to be administered via the existing healthcare exchange chassis, which was created under Obama, which in Trump's administration, he really tried to eliminate hard, and worked hard to do. But now I think because he supports ICHRAs, which is a very market-driven, consumer-driven, individual-driven policy, that actually a lot of these policies, which the market predicts up to 45% of the employer group market could move to ICHRAs over the next decade or so, could actually strengthen these exchanges. Curious what you guys think of this prediction. Will it come true? And more importantly, if it does come true, what should entrepreneurs, investors think about how it'll impact the broader healthcare market? What do you think, Morgan? I'll turn over to you first.
I'm going to ask the skeptical question, which is why is our health insurance still tied to our employment? But I don't know if we have time to get into all of that on this call.
Yeah, that's the case, right? I think 80% of the time, most employees don't want the health insurance that the decision maker at the employer chooses. And maybe the ICHRAs change that. What do we think? Do we think there's going to be more individuals getting involved finally? We're like, that is the holy grail. What do you think, Sophia and Andrew?
I do think that 25 is going to be a critical year to see this. In the short term, we need to figure out what the impact of subsidies will be in the exchanges and what does that mean for ICHRA. And then how do you increase optionality, more plans in certain states to have availability of employees to have good options. And the other thing that comes to mind and that entrepreneurs are already thinking about is really you're putting the burden on the consumer, right? If you're shifting that from your employer to the employee, what does that mean and how to make that experience better? I think those are the companies that are really going to win, is thinking about how to manage the consumer and support them, because now they're going to have a lot more burden on that out-of-pocket costs. And
I totally agree with that. Very complex decision. Andrew, Bessemer were to
Yeah.
say, hey, no longer are we going to choose your healthcare insurance, but we're going to give you a lump sum of money to go figure out what's best for you. Which would you choose?
So personally, as someone who actually understands healthcare and a way that is probably not representative of the broader public, I'd be excited about that opportunity to figure out what fits well for me.
You have an HSA right now. You're a big HSA user. Yeah.
I chose an HSA plan because I wanted to get the triple tax benefits. I also wanted to have the flexibility to think about where I'm spending money and be a little bit more proactive in my decision-making for me and my family. I think for the general consumer, this is something that may get forced upon them if employers decide this is the best way to contain healthcare costs. And you hear this from every employer right now, is the rise in premium spend and the cost of healthcare for them is just becoming astronomical, growing double-digit percentages year over year. And if this is another tool in the toolkit to reduce that increase in spend over time, that may end up forcing these types of plans upon the consumer, and then they're going to have to get smarter on this. I totally agree with Sophia, though, that this is going to be pretty complex for the average consumer. And so having tools that allow a smarter decision-making process is going to be absolutely critical for this to be something that consumers don't revolt against, and is something that is actually beneficial for the consumer rather than an additional burden or an additional cost perceived to them.
Final point I'll make on this is that for entrepreneurs out there who are looking for spaces, if you think about a parallel, what happened in terms of how companies used to manage pension funds and retirement dollars, investment dollars accounts. It used to be a defined benefit where the employer would manage it. And then all of a sudden, a company called Fidelity came around and turned it from a defined benefit to defined contribution, where the money was then pushed into 401ks to allow, and other vehicles to allow individuals to invest. And so if you think that's the parallel in the healthcare market, which is equally as large, for all entrepreneurs, this is a massive trend. And we at Bessemer and other investors look for massive trends. I think this is a really interesting space to be pursuing opportunities. I hope this prediction comes true, but I agree with everyone. It's going to be complicated. It's going to take a while, but look forward to some movement in 2025.